Hi, Salma from Nordcraft here, and I have some exciting news. We just released the new Nordcraft animation editor, and this is really going to help level up your CSS animations to help you create the most beautiful and exciting and joyful user interfaces. I tested out the animation editor by building a like button, and it works like this. And in fact, you might call it the best like button on the internet. It is configurable with colors and number of exploding hearts and all sorts of things, focus outlines and border radiuses, and I'm going to show you how it's built. All right, we are in the Nordcraft editor and I've created a component called Best Like Button and I've set up a few things for you already. So we have these attributes on the component which are configurable when you use it in any situation in your apps. We have border color, border radius, color, focus outline color, focus outline width, item name, liked, number of hearts, and size. And I'll go through each of them and show you how they're used. So first off, we have the border color, which is used to power the stroke color of the heart SVG. And then we have the fill of the SVG, which is powered by the color if the button is liked already. And that variable is powered by the initial value of the liked attribute, and that determines whether or not the heart is filled or not. Talking of variables, we have another variable called clicked, and the initial value is false. This will help us power the animations later on. The border radius is going to power the focus outline of the button, and the color here will power the fill color of the SVG. The focus outline color will power the focus outline of the button, same with the focus outline width. The item name here powers the ARIA label on the button. So you can pass in something like package or post or whatever you like, and the ARIA label will be click to unlike or like package depending on whether or not the attribute passed in is liked, true or false. Then we have liked, which determines whether or not the heart is filled or not. The number of hearts controls how many hearts explode out of the main heart. I think the ideal number is 7. And the size is a number provided that determines the size of the main heart in pixels and will also calculate the smaller heart sizes that explode from that too. So right now we don't have a SVG yet because it doesn't have a width or height. So we're going to go over to the Style tab and create a style variable called size. And it's in pixels and we'll take the size in from the attributes. Now we can use this to give the SVG a width and height. So next, to add those exploding hearts, we are going to add another span and we're going to copy this SVG inside it. There are some attributes we don't need though, and we're not going to include a stroke on this SVG, but we are going to include the fill, which is the color, and we don't need to know if it's liked or not. So we're just going to use the color there. We're going to repeat that span based on how many hearts that the user wants to show. And for the small heart SVGs, we're going to change the size slightly. We're going to make it a bit smaller, and I'm going to divide that by 2.5. Next, on the span that holds each of the SVGs that's repeated, we're going to add a rotation variable. And we're going to rotate them a certain amount of turns depending on their index. So we're going to divide the index by number of hearts. And then we will apply this rotation using the transform. And then those hearts are rotated. Now I've already got some styling on this button that gives it a little bit of padding, its display flex, its position relative. And that means we're going to make the hearts position absolute. So they are inside the heart and we won't see them until it's clicked. So to do that, we're going to use the clicked and liked variables. So if it is clicked and liked, we are going to show those hearts. And this is going to be important to power the animation in just a moment. So to ensure that works correctly as well, we're going to add a click event to the button. When the button is clicked, we're going to set click to true, and we're going to set liked to the opposite of liked to toggle. the liked variable, liked not. For the animations to reset once it has been clicked, we're going to add an animation end to the button click event. And when it's ended, we're going to set clicked to false. Now we're going to style the button based on the attributes passed in. We're going to add a style variable of border radius. We're going to call it border radius. And we're going to use the border radius attribute. We're going to set focus outline width to the focus outline width. And we're going to set the focus outline color to the focus outline color. Then to use those variables, we're going to add a focus visible pseudo class. We're going to add an effect outline, which is the focus outline color. The width is the focus outline width, and we're going to have a style of solid. We're also going to set the border radius to power the border radius of the button when it is focused. Just to make everything work really nicely and smoothly in the UI, we're going to add a transition, and we're going to add all. I'm just going to leave this default with this lovely curve here for now, so that when we focus on this, you'll see the transition makes it nice and smooth, and the border radius is applied. So next, to power the animations, we're going to add some classes onto the main SVG. First one we're going to add is called clicked and liked. And this one is going to be if it is clicked and if it is liked. Next, we're going to add clicked and unliked, so we can show a different animation when someone unlikes something. So if it's clicked and liked not. And then we can go into the style panel and add these classes for clicked and liked and clicked and unliked. And now we're ready to add the animations. So first off, let's do the easier animation, and we're going to set an animation when the button is clicked and unliked. So we scroll down to animation. And what's great about the animation editor is that it provides you some pre-built animations that you can apply and play with. So I'm going to choose the pulse. And what this does is this pulses the heart by scaling it. And as you can see, this is just CSS that's just being applied. I have decided that all of my animations are going to be just 1 second long. So I'm going to change the duration there. And the duration is automatically changed for you on the timeline. So this will last 1 second. You can also play it like this to see how it's going to look. But when someone unlikes something with my button, I don't want the heart to grow and pulse. I want it to shrink and pulse. So I'm going to move over to this keyframe here by dragging the timeline indicator, and I'm going to change this to 0.9 and 0.9 instead. So when you play this from the beginning, it's going to go in over 1 second. And again, to prove that it's just CSS, we're going to go to the CSS panel here, and you can see the animation that's created, 1 second ease, 0.1 second, one normal non-running animation, and that's the name of the animation. That's pretty cool. One other thing to call out is that you can change the easing curves of these really easily. You can just play about with how this looks and then play it. And if you want a linear one, you can click on the linear, which is very linear. It's not very cool. And these are some quick shortcuts for you to change your easing function. I'm going to leave it at that one. So for the clicked and liked animation, I am actually going to stack 2 animations on top of each other. So the first one, I am going to use a pulse, but I'm going to add an extra keyframe for fun. I'm going to remember to change the duration to 1 second, as all of my animations are going to be 1 second. And I'd like something to change at 0.2 seconds and 0.7 seconds. So we're going to add a keyframe by clicking on the diamond there. At 0.2 seconds, I want the heart to get a little bit smaller. So I'm going to choose 0.85 and 0.85 for scale. At 0.7 seconds, I want it to get even bigger. So I'm going to choose 1.2 and 1.2. And the end is going to return back to 1, 1. So if we play that, we get kind of a cute little pulsing, beating heart animation. So next I'm going to add another animation, and this one's going to be a rotating animation. It's going to last 1 second. And I'm going to add another keyframe at 0.7 seconds. We're going to start at 0, but this one, we're going to kind of rotate over and rotate it to 400 degrees. So if we play that animation, it kind of goes around once and then a little bit more and then returns back to the center. So now when we click this, we'll see different animations for when the button is liked or unliked. Here's the like animation with the rotation and the pulse, and the unlike, which is just a little heartbeat pulse as well. So that's the animations on the main SVG, and now it's time for the tiny hearts. Now we're going to need to add a couple of style variables to make sure these hearts can move the correct distance out of the main heart. And also we're going to delay them slightly. So the top one will go earlier than the last one. So we're going to add a distance variable. And this is going to multiply the size that's passed in as an attribute by 0.75. So it kind of goes out 3/4 of the size of the heart to make sure it clears the border of the heart. Next, we're going to add a delay variable, which will control how the hearts explode from the main heart, and so they don't all explode at the same time. So we're going to add a style variable. It's going to be a duration. I'm going to call it delay. I'm going to take the index, and we're going to add 1. And we're going to divide 100 by that number. We're adding 1 because we can't divide by 0. And that's going to give a different delay for each of the tiny hearts to make sure that they kind of cascade in when they show. So with CSS animations, when something is shown in the DOM, that's when they will run. So we don't need to do any more further kind of logical calculations to make sure this animation runs, because we're already showing it and hiding it based on whether the heart has been clicked or not. So for this, I'm going to create a fresh animation. And we're going to do that by adding a transform translate keyframe. So we're going to, again, change the animation to 1 second so everything all lines up. And I'm going to add a couple of keyframes on 0.3 seconds, 0.8 seconds. Nothing's going to happen yet, but we're going to start at 0, 0. And on 0.3 seconds, we're going to do something a little tricky. We want to be able to translate this along the y-axis. So we're not going to be translating the x, and we're going to use the distance variable as to how far it's going to travel along the y-axis. And we need to multiply that by -1 in order for it to go up rather than down, to make sure that the hearts are the correct orientation. So at 0.3 seconds, what we're going to do, we're going to use the calc CSS function. Again, this is just CSS. And we're going to use the distance variable that we calculated. And we're going to times it by -1. So as you can see, that heart has moved up, and all of the others will move out accordingly. So on the 0.8 seconds keyframe, I'm going to use the same value as I used on 0.3. This is because I want the hearts to stay expanded out of the heart for 0.5 seconds before they return back. Make that 0, 0, just to be safe. So if we play this, We see that the heart goes up, it stays there for half a second, and then comes back down. And finally, we're going to add the delay style variable that we set up to make sure that all of the hearts do not explode out at the same time. Now, if we go and test it on the home page, we will see the rotation and exploding hearts on like, and then the little pulse on unlike. It's pretty cool, right? And it's just CSS. If you want to go and like the best like button, you can go and find it in the packages area of Nordcraft. And look, you can even use the little like button that I built right on that page as well. So go and give the Nordcraft animation editor a try. I think you're going to love it. And what you're going to be able to create is probably far superior to what I can ever create. So go and make stuff, share it in the Discord, and let us know how you get on. Bye.